I know what you're thinking. Wasn't this supposed to be an episode about Kenshin Himura and his godlike speed? Indeed it was. But this concept just proved to be much more interesting, especially since there are so many more questions that need to be answered because of it. So, we can go over Kenshin's speed another day, but for right now, let me ask you a question. If you were Guldo from the Ginyu Force and you could freeze time, what would that be like? Okay, so for this scenario, you're Guldo from the Ginyu Force, and you're up against two powerful enemies that can easily beat you. What do? Freeze time? Are you sure? Okay then, here we go. Let's freeze time. 3, 2, 1, time freeze. Oh, yeah. I kind of expected this to happen. Let me explain. But first, can I get the lights back on, please? Thank you. So, light doesn't work when you freeze time. If you freeze the universe, that means you also become blind as light has stopped moving, meaning that no light is being reflected, refracted, or created and going into your eyes, preventing you from seeing. Essentially, it's basically being invisible. But you know, an episode completely in darkness isn't really that entertaining. So, let's just bend the rules and keep the lights on in the universe. Now, you're probably wondering why, when Guldo has time frozen, he holds his breath. That's because he can't breathe. No, seriously. When you freeze time, that means all molecules stop moving altogether. So, no air molecules will be entering and exiting your lungs. But since I need to do this episode, how about we just say that air isn't affected? Oh, but before that, I should probably mention that because of there being no air, there would also be silence. Yeah, again, no air means not only no air to breathe, but also no molecules to vibrate the sound of your voice, or anything that might create sound. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. Oh no. Because it will. Did it get cold in here, or is it just me? That's better. So yeah, since we just froze time, that means that all molecules have stopped moving, and that means no transference of heat. Basically, the universe is now at absolute zero. Technically, since time has never been frozen, or at least we wouldn't know if it was, and the basic laws of physics get thrown out the window, it could potentially get colder than absolute zero. But let's just stick with 0 Kelvin, eh? It will be unbelievably cold. So you might want to wrap up in something warm. But since the laws of physics kinda don't apply anymore, then what about gravity? That gets thrown out the window as well. Yeah, no time means no gravity, which means you'd float up into space as soon as you jump, or move, or do anything really. But don't worry, you're Guldo. Like most people in the Dragon Ball universe, you can fly. Or you could. If you could move, that is. Yeah, remember when I said that no air molecule will be entering into your lungs since they're frozen? All of reality just froze around you, and now acts as though you were just put into a block of solid cement. No movement whatsoever will be allowed. No breathing, no scratching, not even something like opening your mouth or smiling. You better hope you're comfortable with the position you're in, because otherwise you're going to be stuck like it for a while. So, yeah. As Guldo, when you freeze time, it will be inconceivably cold, the darkest it's ever been. You won't be able to breathe or speak, and there will be no movement from you or otherwise. So basically the worst place to be in all of reality. And this is ignoring if your perception, molecules, or air in your lungs are also frozen. We're ignoring all this because it's obvious this doesn't apply to Guldo. So, how is Guldo still able to move then if time is frozen? Easy. He didn't freeze it, he just slowed it down to such a degree that it looks like time is frozen. But that comes with its own problems and obstacles, one of which may or may not include molecules exploding at light speed. But we can cover all this at another time, in another episode of Game Over. A thought occurs to me though, audience. If you had the ability to stop time like Guldo, what would you use it for? Me? I'd make people pick their noses. Yes, that's childish and juvenile, but you have to admit it's funny as hell. I shall leave you with that for now, dear peoples. Cheerio.